Number 14 on the Pre-Calc B exam review. Let's go. Not a whole lot of space here to work, so we'll try to make the best of it, but matrices. So, let A be this, B be this, C be that, perform the following matrix operations or state it's impossible. Well, we're going to double everything in matrix A. So we're going to go 4, -6, 2, 10. We're going to add it to B. Now, as you can see, -4, 4, 3, 1, 2, -1. Are you sniffing something? In order to add, this is a 2 by 2. This is a 3 by 2. So this is impossible. This has to match this, or vice versa, and they don't. So that would be impossible. So, I hope that makes sense. Yeah. Let's go on to letter B, BA. So, literally, write this -4, 4, 3, 1, 2, -1. We got to multiply that by A, which is 2, -3, 1, 5. All right. Is this impossible? No. Because look at this row has two things. This column has two things. So we are going to multiply those things together individually. So -4 times 2 is -8, plus 1 times 1. So that'd be -8 plus 1 is 7. That goes in the upper left-hand corner. Then this row keeps moving along each column until you run out of columns. So as you can see, now we're going to hit this with this. It's 12 plus 5 is 17, upper right, and we don't have any more columns, so we're done with this row. Jump down to that row. This times this is 8, this times this is 2, 8 plus 2 is 10. Now we throw this row through this column. -12 plus 10 is 2. We don't have another column, so we're done with this row. 3 times 2 is 6. -1 times 1 is -1. 6 plus -1 is 5. 3 times -3 is -9. Plus a -5 is -14. And we're done. C times A. So I, before we jump to any conclusions, recommend writing it in the exact order they give us before we jump to any wrong conclusions. Times A, which is 2, -3, 1, 5. So again, like we did on the last problem, we've got 3 things in this row. We've only got 2 things in this column. We would need a third thing down here in order to have this times this, plus this times this, plus this times this, and we don't have it, so this is impossible. All right, this, the inverse of A, has a formula. It's 1 over the determinant of A times, and if you remember the formula, if we remember a generic 2 by 2, because that's what we're talking about, is a 2 by 2, would go A, B, C, D, and the formula is you flip these, so it'd be D and A, and you take the opposites of these. They don't move. You just take the opposites of them. So, following that formula, we got to find the determinant of A. So we find the determinant by multiplying this way, 10 minus whatever the product is that way, which is a -3. So that's 13. So it's 1 over 13. Now we just follow this formula for this 2 by 2. So A and D switch, 5, 2. Take the opposite of that thing in that position. Take the opposite of that thing in that position. And now a lot of students get a little confused here because it's like, well, what else do we have to do? Well, this is just like a distribution property. So we take this. You're not done until you have another 2 by 2. That's the inverse of that 2 by 2. So we distribute this through, get 5/13, 3/13, -1/13, and 2/13. And I don't think you're going to be required to convert those to decimals, but if you are, you'll have to use your calculator if it happens to be in decimals on your multiple choice exam. There it is. Now, what's significant about it? Well, just so you know, if I actually multiplied this by this, I would get a matrix 1, 0, 0, 1, and if we figured out the determinant of this, we'd get 1 minus 0, which is 1. So it's kind of like 2/3 times 3/2. Anything times its inverse is 1. So these are multiplicative inverses, but I'm just throwing that in for free. This is your answer, but that's the significance of what these inverses are. What's the determinant of C? Now the question I need to ask is, on your exam, are you going to be able to use your calculator or not? Well, if you're not, then I better show you what to do. So here's the determinant of C. So we take out the upper left. We make our invisible line here, invisible line here. And we've got this little box of goodies, 0, 5, -3, -1. And remember, it goes plus, minus, plus. So I took the -4 out. There's a plus in front of it, so it doesn't change it. That negative comes next, and now I take this element out. And I do that little line trick. Take that out, take this out. So I'm left with -2, 3, 5, -1. Plus, from this, take this final thing out. Whoopsie. Put it right there. Line, line, -2, 0, 3, -3. And now we got some 2 by 2's to determine. Don't distribute this -4 through. Let's figure this out. So that'd be 0 minus a -15, which is just 15, times -4, which is -60. Now, this is 2 minus 15, which is -13, times -2 is 26. This 6 minus 0 is just 6, times -6 is a -36. So I got -96 plus 26, which is -70, and that's the determinant of this. Now, I'm going to show you now how to use the old calculator in case we pre-calc teachers decide to allow it. I don't know how we won't allow it because you're going to have calculators, but all right, let me get my calculator set up a second. All right, so here we go. So on this particular calculator, I hope you can see it, got this little button in blue. Above this button is blue matrix, so we want to select that. And then we got these options. Now what we want to do is we want to go over here and edit. We want to create our 3 by 3. So I know I've got some down here on options 3 and 4, but let's say we didn't have those. I'm going to select this. I'm going to change this 3 by 3. I'm going to go down to I'm going to hit enter, and now I've got this 3 by 3. I just need to fill things in properly. Don't use the subtraction button here. Use the minus, the negative button down here to input information. So here it comes. -4, got to hit enter. 2, enter. -6, enter. -2, enter. 0, enter. 5, enter. 3, -3, -1. All right, enter. So now we're going to quit. We got to leave. We know we put this in our option 1. I'll show you. But we're going to quit. That's kind of confusing because it's kind of like, well, why'd you do that? Well, I'm going to go back to my matrices. That top one is the one that we just put in. We're going to tell the calculator to math it up. Notice option 1 gives us the option to find the determinant, so we're going to select that. Now we're going to go back to our matrices, and we're going to select 1, and then it would insert the one we just filled in. And now you've got nothing else to do but to hit enter. And look at that, -70, -70. So there you go. It's how to use your calculator. All right, so the final one here is just triple everything in B, so that's pretty easy. So we just triple everything. Just be careful of making a silly mistake. So 6, 9, negative 3. So all we did was triple everything in matrix B. Whoops, I wasn't showing it, but all right, there's matrix B, multiply everything by 3, there it is. Okay, number 15 is going to make us think a little bit. How dare them? So, this is saying, you're going to need some space here. Find xy, in other words, multiply matrix x times matrix y with all these crazy things. Now, they threw in some variables, you just have to stick with the program. I don't know if I'll need this paper or not, but we'll try it without. So, if this is a 2 by 2, then I got to multiply that row by that column. And that answer goes in the upper left. I better make this a little bigger. I need some space. All right. So here we go. 2 plus AB goes in the upper left-hand corner. Then we got to throw that row through this column, and that's going to go up here. So that's negative 6 plus AC. Now we don't have any more columns, so we're done with that row. So now we got to throw this row through this column, so negative 1 plus 5 times b. So negative 1 plus 5b. Now we got to multiply this by this. So that's 3 plus 5c. So this is in a spot, bottom left, bottom right, upper left, just so we can be organized there. All right, that's it for that. All right, so number 16 throws us into a real tough spot mathematically. He gives us this question, find the area of a triangle. Well, geometry, we got 1/2 base times height as long as the base and the height form a 90-degree triangle. So what I would do is I'd try to find out, does this, it looks like a 90. If it is, then this is my base, this is my height. I just multiply the lengths by themselves and take half. Distance formula might help us find the length here and here. Now, how could I figure out if this is 90? Because it sure would be nice. Well, there's two ways. I could find the slope of this line and the slope of this line and just kind of consider whether or not they're opposite reciprocals. Because if this is like, let's just say it's 2/3, then this would have to be negative 3/2. And, well, why don't we go ahead and do that? Because I was going to show you a different way. But, so how do we find the slope? Well, that's y1 minus y2 over x2 minus x1. So let's do this kind of quickly. 2 minus a negative 4, which is 6. And then 10 minus 1, which is 9. So that, I was just guessing. That was weird. 2/3. How fun is that? So if this ends up being negative 3/2, then we know that this is a 90. So let's try it with this one. Here's my y. Negative 4 minus 5 is negative 9. Negative 4 minus 5, negative 9. And then 1 minus a negative 2 would be 3. So I get negative 3. Is this the opposite in reciprocal of this? No. So that means we can't use this, which leaves us with good old pre-calc stuff. In order to find the area of a triangle, we gotta have sides, and we gotta have at least one angle. This is our ultimate goal. But we don't have any angles, so that's our goal before we get to that goal. So that's where these law of cosines come in. So we do know the lengths of these sides, not directly, but indirectly. We can use the distance formula, which is just basically the Pythagorean theorem in disguise, because if I took the square root of this and the square root of that, so you can either just use this between these 2 points, or you can just say, hey, you know what, these are just triangles. So I'm going to get out a fun little color here and say from here to here, from 1 to 10 is 9, from negative 4 to 2 is 6. So to figure out this length right here, I'm going to use some a squared plus b squared equals c squared sauce. 81 plus 36 And so that is 117 equals c squared, so I know that's the square root of 117. I wish it was a little more user-friendly, but oh well. All right, so now we're going to do the same thing between these are not very well organized, but I'm going to go over here now, and I'm going to say, all right, let's figure this out. Well, from 1 to negative 2 would be 3. From negative 4 to 5 would be 9. So now we're going to use Pythagorean theorem over here. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. 81 plus 9 is c squared, so 90 equals c squared. And take the square root, and so this guy is the square root of 90. Yes, that can break down to 3 square root of 10, but I'm not going to worry about it because I know I'm going to shove that into a formula in a minute as a number. Now the question is, can I now go a squared plus b squared equals c squared to find this? The answer is no, because we said that's not a 90. So we just got to go with this. Let's go ahead and use the distance formula one time. I'll call that x1, y1. Call this x2, y2. It's just the Pythagorean theorem in disguise. So x2 minus x1 would be negative 2 minus 10 would be, where should I show this word? I'll show it right here. So I get the distance is, I already forgot. What do we say? x2, negative 2 minus this is negative 12. Squared is 144. Now we got to do this. y2, 5 minus y1. 5 minus 2 is 3. 3 squared is 9. So we get the square root of 153. All right, now we got the lengths of our sides. As crazy as they are, now we can find angle A, B, or C. Now, I already labeled these A, B, C, and that helps me with this formula. So this is quite a math problem. So I'm just going to stick with this one because it's the top one, but just know that there's 3 of them. So I am running out of space, but here we go. A squared, which is side A, which is opposite angle A, is this. I'm glad I didn't break it down because the square root of 90 squared is just 90. What's B squared? Well, that's the side opposite angle B, which is this, and if I square that, I get 117, plus C squared, which would be that, squared, so it's 153. Here comes the mess. Minus 2 times B, which is the square root of 117, times C, where is it? Square root of 153 cosine of angle A. Am I still on the page? I am. So, calculator special and a little bit of PEMDAS. So I'm going to clean this thing up a little bit. 90 equals this plus this. That'd be 270. This is the danger of doing this, trying to save time. Minus. All right. I'm going to take this, times this, and I'll be back with you in a second. I don't want to waste your whole video. Okay, so I found out that this, actually this times this times this is 267.4. Don't forget about that minus. Now, a lot of students want to subtract these, but you can't because this is connected to cosine. So that would be just disobeying PEMDAS like crazy. So I got to subtract 270, and here we go. So I get negative 180 equals negative 267.4 cosine A. Now I got to divide by negative 267.4, divide by negative 267.4, get out my calculator, 180, I know the negatives disappear, 267.4. So I get 0.673, we'll get real precise, equals cosine A. So now I got to do the inverse operation, 0.673, in order to find angle A. So here it comes. Second cosine, 0.673, 47.7. We did all of that to find angle A. We haven't even found what the question's asking for. So I want you to take a peek at this. We know this is 47.7 degrees. We're going to use this formula because it's the one that uses angle A. So I'm going to transfer this down here. How about right here? So 1/2 B, which is the square root of 117, times C, which is the square root of 153 times sine of angle A. This is getting messy. Pause. All right, so I erased a little bit of the law of cosine so we could squeeze this in. Give me 2 seconds while I calculate this. Do not distribute this 1/2 to everything. I'm going to figure out what this is and then take half. So give me a second. All right, grand finale of this video. I get 49.48 approximately for my area, square units. Big math problem. So make sure you can use your calculator and meander your way through that. All right, that finishes this video. Like and subscribe, even if you don't. Thank you.